Looking for reliable forex analysis? Check out Forexscope for daily forecasts and insights to help you trade smarter. Link in the description and comments.
Cop30 Live. World leaders confront climate crisis as Al Gore declares current trajectory literally insane. The 30th United Nations climate negotiations, COP30, is underway in Belém, Brazil, with delegates grappling with the escalating global climate crisis. Day 3 of the summit saw a powerful convergence of diverse voices and critical developments, underscoring the urgency and complexity of the challenges ahead. A pivotal moment unfolded as Al Gore, former U.S. Vice President and prominent climate advocate, addressed delegates with a stark warning, utilizing a compelling visual presentation of recent climate-related disasters. Standing before a vast screen showcasing images of devastating droughts in the Amazon, rapidly melting ice in Greenland, and catastrophic storms that have ravaged communities across Vietnam, Jamaica, Brazil, the Philippines, and the United States, Gore exclaimed that it is literally insane that we are allowing this to continue. He emphasized the dual necessity of adaptation and mitigation, cautioning that the continued unchecked release of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, akin to using the sky as an open sewer, will render certain impacts impossible to adapt to. Gore also subtly critiqued prominent figures advocating for a shift in focus away from mitigation, highlighting the unfortunate timing of a major hurricane striking Jamaica on the same day. Prominent climate advocates suggested dialing back mitigation efforts. Gore's primary engagement at COP30 centers on promoting his Climate Trace project, an innovative initiative employing AI and satellite imagery to meticulously map planet heating, emissions and air pollutants globally. He expressed immense optimism about the project's potential, stating, "We have got the technology and the deployment models. Some people think we don't have the political will, but as I like to remind people, political will is a renewable resource." The Climate Trace project aims to identify not only emission sources but also the most effective and cost-efficient decarbonization strategies, offering a tangible roadmap for industries and nations. Analysis from the project suggests that widespread adoption of best practices from efficient industrial sites could slash tens of billions of tons of carbon dioxide over the next 2 decades, a crucial step in limiting global temperature rise. For instance, retrofitting steel plants identified by Climate Trace to utilize electric arc furnaces could save approximately 20.5 billion tons of carbon dioxide by 2050, a figure equivalent to nearly half of the world's current annual emissions from all sources. This data offers a ready-made blueprint for companies to pinpoint areas for rapid decarbonization. Similarly, the project highlights the potential for replicating successful forest fire reduction techniques, such as those implemented in Uganda, to achieve similar environmental benefits and improve the lives of local populations in countries like Ghana. The initiative also pinpoints coal mines, major sources of methane, a potent greenhouse gas, and identifies where methane capture technologies would be most effective. Gore hopes that this data can inform national climate plans, known as Nationally Determined Contributions, NDCs, which are currently deemed insufficient to meet the Paris Agreement's target of limiting global heating to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Meanwhile, a significant development emerged with the arrival of a climate justice flotilla comprising over 100 boats carrying 5,000 indigenous activists, forest defenders, and civil society campaigners. This flotilla marked the commencement of the People's Summit, a parallel event running alongside the main climate talks, signaling a robust civil society presence and demand for action. The International Energy Agency, IEA, released its 2025 World Energy Outlook, projecting a substantial increase in renewable energy installations between now and 2030, exceeding the total built over the past 4 decades. Crucially, the report indicates that the world is still on course to reach peak oil and coal production by 2030, a projection that holds even amidst political shifts. However, a sobering report from Amnesty International revealed that a quarter of the global population resides within 3 miles of operational fossil fuel projects, placing over 2 billion people at potential risk to their health. In a landmark move, 12 countries signed the Declaration on Information Integrity on Climate Change, marking the first formal commitment by states to combat climate disinformation. This declaration, lauded as a breakthrough moment by Charlotte Scadden, senior advisor on information integrity to the UN Global Communications, aims to foster accurate information dissemination and counter climate denialism. The signatory nations, including Brazil, Canada, Chile, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Spain, Sweden, Uruguay, the Netherlands, and Belgium, pledged to support robust media ecosystems, promote equitable access to climate information, enhance capacity for information integrity, and urge private sector entities, particularly big tech, to actively combat disinformation and irresponsible advertising. This commitment arrives as climate disinformation surges, with a recent report indicating a 267% increase in COP-related disinformation circulating online. Between July and September 2025, studies also suggest that climate disasters can exacerbate the spread of false information, as seen during wildfires, floods, and heat waves, where misinformation can hinder public protection efforts. The urgency of this declaration is further underscored by an open letter from nearly 400 organizations, academics, and global leaders, including key architects of the Paris Agreement, urging national governments to uphold information integrity. Timmons Roberts, a climate disinformation expert at Brown University, criticized the long-standing denial of the denial at climate talks, asserting that the declaration is a vital step in understanding the forces actively impeding climate action. Melissa Lem, president of the Canadian Association of Physicians for the Environment, highlighted the tangible health consequences of climate disinformation, stating that physicians are often left to deal with the fallout, as false information spreads faster than facts during climate disasters, leaving individuals vulnerable. New research from Client Earth indicates that major social media platforms actively amplify and incentivize the spread of climate disinformation, a concern echoed by Kaylee Crossan, a senior officer at Client Earth, who views the inclusion of information integrity on the COP agenda as a critical wake-up call. Adding another layer of complexity to the climate crisis, research by the UK-based Conflict and Environment Observatory, CEOBS, has revealed that the global military is responsible for at least 5.5% of total global greenhouse gas emissions, excluding conflict-related emissions, making it the fourth largest carbon polluter worldwide. This figure surpasses that of Russia and ranks behind only China, the United States, and India. The disparity in spending is stark, with the global north allocating 30 times more to its militaries than to climate finance. The global defense spending reached a staggering $2.7 trillion in 2024 amidst escalating geopolitical tensions, a sum more than double the global south's demand for climate finance at Cop30. According to War on Climate, the environmental impact of conflicts, such as the wars in Ukraine and Gaza, is also under scrutiny. A report is slated for release that will detail the countries and corporations that have supplied millions of tons of fossil fuels to Israel since October 2023, fueling the conflict and its devastating humanitarian consequences. This uninterrupted fuel supply has been linked to the extensive destruction and loss of life in Gaza and the occupied West Bank, highlighting the interconnectedness of fossil fuels, conflict, and climate change. A significant focus of the negotiations has been the proposed BELM action mechanism for a just transition, BAM. This initiative, championed by the G77 bloc in China, aims to establish a formal mechanism within the UNFCCC to accelerate, coordinate, and support a true global just transition, particularly in mineral-producing countries where concerns about land grabs, worker exploitation, and other abuses are mounting. The G77 and China, representing approximately 80% of the world's population, have strongly advocated for this mechanism to ensure that the energy transition is equitable, inclusive, and responsive to the diverse needs of all nations, within the framework of sustainable development and poverty eradication. However, wealthy developed countries, including Japan, Norway, the UK, Australia, Canada, and the EU, have reportedly not supported the G77 China proposal, sparking criticism from the global south. Advocates of BAM argue that the current work program is fragmented and insufficient to address the risks of the clean energy revolution being as exploitative and unequal as the fossil fuel economy. It replaces. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has previously highlighted that critical minerals powering The clean energy revolution are often sourced from long exploited countries, with communities mistreated and rights trampled, exacerbating inequality. The BAM is designed to formalize cooperation, knowledge sharing, and prioritize non-debt-inducing finance and technology transfer, principles central to the Paris Agreement and the concept of common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities. Harjit Singh, strategic advisor to the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty Initiative, emphasized that while Dubai COP promised a transition away from fossil fuels, BAM must deliver the plan, identifying BAM as that crucial plan. He stressed that developing countries need real finance, technology, and capacity, not more debt, to implement this vision. The support of China, a major player in critical mineral supply chains, is seen as particularly significant, especially as the US seeks to expand its own share. This move by the G77 and China represents a substantial step, demonstrating unity on the need for a global just transition mechanism. Hugo Gabero, director of the International Federation for Human Rights Defenders Desk, underscored that a just transition mechanism is essential for states to coordinate and accelerate just transition pathways, but stressed the paramount importance of human rights at its core, advocating for the full and meaningful participation of those fighting for real solutions. Nona Chai from the Just Transition Alliance criticized the Global North's stance, viewing it as part of a historical pattern of exploitation and a failure to provide reparations, emphasizing the need for a powerful and inclusive institutional center to clarify definitions and provide resources. Bert de Well, Global Climate Policy Coordinator at the International Trade Union Confederation, described the G77 China proposal as an important first step, asserting that workers and their unions demand a place within the UNFCCC to discuss labor rights and social justice, with the BAM needing to provide this. The narrative of a just transition requires substance, and the proposed BAM aims to provide that institutional framework, ensuring that the shift to cleaner energy does not perpetuate existing inequalities and injustices.